as soon as the pup is born. Obviously, there's lots that the breeder should be doing, handling, neonatal handling. And then as soon as the puppies can walk, like, 3-4 weeks of age, we've got to start the house training, got to start the chew toy training, and because it's so easy and so much fun, we may as well start teaching them to come, sit, lie down, roll over. So then when a family gets a puppy at 8 weeks, they at least have a fighting chance that this puppy's seen lots of people in the safety of its original home, it's been handled by lots of people. That's the best quality in a dog, right? That you can cuddle with it. What's the point of having a dog if he doesn't like being hugged? And then the house training program started, and we need to carry that on through 8 weeks to 12 weeks. And then it's probably time to get out the big wide world, walks, go to puppy class, where you learn training. You don't do it there, but it's where you learn what to do. So training starts as soon as you have the puppy, and it ends the day after your dog dies, I guess. You never stop training. That if you stop training, then the behaviour will gradually get worse. If you keep training, the behaviour will continue to get better. If people don't train the dog, it's a disaster. Sadly, the all too common occurrence is that the breeder does nothing. They just let the puppies grow up, peeing and pooping everywhere and chewing everything and anything and yapping and barking, and that's exactly what they'll do when they go into their new home at 8 weeks, and the poor owner doesn't stand a chance. So to me, socialization and training is everything. With the most important one being socialization and handling, and that's the easiest. It's so easy to handle a little puppy, and you keep on doing it, as he grows up from a neonate, young puppy, older puppy, adolescent, and then you find, wow, we've got an adult dog that we can actually handle. We can clean his ears, we can clean his teeth, and we can grab his collar, and we can hug him. If we don't do that, what often happens is the owners get their puppy, and they're doing their best. They think, oh, we'll find a good breeder and we'll find a good book, but they're behind before they start at 8 weeks, and then they don't really manage the puppy so well in the first 2 weeks, so he makes little mistakes. He pees here, he poops there, he chews this, he chews that, and before you know it, they're putting him outside when he's 5 months old, where of course he's going to become an indiscriminate urinator, defecator, chewer. He's going to learn to bark, maybe escape. The neighbours complain of the barking, so he goes in the garage, and he's going to end up in the shelter when he's 8 months old. It's very miserable for a lot of dogs, and it's all because the owners weren't told not just about how urgent and important this stuff is, but how easy it is to do. It really is fun training a puppy, as it is fun training adult dogs. I don't think that puppy owners have to go to a puppy class. I just think it's a fun thing to do. I took my dogs to class because it was a fun night out for the dog and a big laugh for me, It depends whether they know what to do. And so it's not, whether they read a book or whether they go to puppy classes. It's, does this owner know what to do with the puppy? And if they do, he's going to grow up and he's going to be fine. If they don't, he won't. They will probably screw up with him. And if it doesn't work out, and then we go the shelter route, now, the shelters are trying to rehome dogs that have this behavioral baggage that was created by previous owners. So, I guess the question is kind of like, if you asked me, should you go on vacation? Yeah, it's fun. Should we go to puppy class? It really is, for a lot of owners, the most memorable times in their life with the dog. I meet owners in the street, where I live, and they come up and say, oh, I was in puppy classes with you, 18 years ago, and now we've got another dog, and oh, I remember that evening, it was so much fun. They just never forget puppy class, and, it's a good socialization night out, and it's where they go to learn. But it's actually the owner who trains the dog. You don't train the dog in the puppy class, you just learn how to do it there. And so it all depends on what the owner knows and what the owner is going to do and to implement. Without a doubt, the most important things to teach a puppy, there are two so far at the top that it's ridiculous. Bite inhibition, number one. And by bite inhibition, what we mean is not that the puppy won't nip at you, or if he's upset or frightened, but that when the puppy or dog nips at you or snaps at you, he doesn't do any damage. For most dogs, we hope they don't even put their teeth on you, but if their teeth are on your skin, it doesn't hurt at all. So that's always the number one thing to teach any animal, whether it's a puppy, a kitten, a parrot, a cow, a horse, a pig, a sheep. You have to handle and gentle them and explain to them in the same way that you are pre-programmed not to hurt your own kind. Don't hurt us either. You mustn't hurt people. So that really stands at the top, and that's your last line of defense. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to teach bite inhibition. Second, socializing dogs to people. And this is fun. Basically, you have puppy parties. One night you invite around 8 guys to watch football on the telly, give them pizza and beer. They're shouting, screaming, training the puppy, handling the puppy. Next night 8 women, next night 4 children, and so on. And this is how the puppy eats his dinner. He's hand-fed his dinner. So he says, I love people. So he doesn't want to bite. So that's like the first line of defense. But it's actually impossible to do. It's impossible to socialize a dog to everything around people, because people are pretty weird. And they do things like, little boy standing on a coffee table and he jumps off and lands on the dog. Or another example in the bite case they had, a visitor came to the house, tripped, fell over and headbutted the dog who's chewing a bone. And both these people got bitten, but there was absolutely no damage. So we socialize the dog so he doesn't want to bite. And this is best done in a party atmosphere. Lots of noise, lots of music, people running around and shouting and screaming. So by 5 months of age, the puppy says, been there, done that, puppy party at home. So nothing spooks him. And this is especially important with the sensitive breeds, all the shepherd dogs, all the sheep dogs, and so on and so on. Third, behavior problems. Utterly predictable and preventable behavior problems. House soiling, destructive chewing, excessive barking, home alone. We've got to teach owners how to prevent that, because that is the number one terminal illness for dogs. They're silly little behavior problems, easy to prevent, easy to resolve if the dogs have them. But if not, that's why people get rid of their dogs. Strangely, people, they will live with a dog that's fearful, and they will live with a dog that's dog unfriendly. They will live with a dog that bites them. But they aren't going to live with a dog that's soiling the house and wrecking the house for very long. So that would be the 1, 2, 3. Bite inhibition is so far the most important. Then socialization with people, and then preventing these behavior problems. I think, a lot of people say things like, if you don't have time for a puppy, you shouldn't get one. And we tend to, a lot of dog professionals, I think up on their high horse, talking down to puppy owners, saying you must do this, you must do that. I guess I look at it kind of differently. I mean, I'm probably one of the laziest people in the world, and it's why I've always tried to make puppy training, dog training, not just fun and easy, but I want to make it quick. Because I'm realistic that people are busy now. And so I try and teach people how to integrate training into their lives. So, for example, if they're cooking at the stove and you've got a young puppy, well, hold him here. Just handle him and, talk to him when you're doing it. If you go to the fridge, that's the time to train your dog. Call him, come here, sit, good boy. And all these little things that you do on a regular basis, opening up a new computer program, making a cup of tea, just think, we got a dog in the house, let's train him now. So when you do it a little and often, it doesn't take any extra time out of your life. And of course, the most important times when you want to do this is if your dog is playing with other dogs or you're walking him. If you don't, then playing with other dogs and sniffing will become the biggest distractions in the world. And you will say to your dog, Rover, come here, and he just, Park-induced deafness syndrome. He says, excuse me, I'm busy, I'm sniffing this dog's rear end. But if you integrated training into the dog's fun times, so let's say, when I'm walking my dogs, every minute I say, Doon, sit, there's a good boy, go on. So now the playing with other dogs and the sniffing, instead of becoming a distraction that works against training, it now becomes a reward, and a very big reward, that we can use for training. So I think the trick is to learn how to integrate training into your life. If you go in trips in the car, then make it a dog training thing. You sit before you go out the door, you sit before I put your leash on, you sit before you get in the car, you sit before you get out of the car. Before you know it, you say sit, and the dog says, it's a good call, I like sit. So now we got a reliable dog, and we don't get into this horrible sort of adversarial thing, which, some trainers talk about, like, hey, your dog's out to get you, he's trying to dominate you, and all this silliness. And that, I think, is so sad when we're talking about a companion. I mean, he's meant to be our best friend. And so when you think about integrating training into your life, it doesn't take much time. And then when you integrate training into the dog's life, sit, go play, sit, go sniff, it makes sense to the dog. The dog says, oh, I know why I sit now, because then I get to say hello and sniff that dog's butt.